Well, this is Boomer TV, and you are watching Gene Comes Clean, My Life of Excess, with Gene Pietragallo, Hollywood actor and producer who shares his life lessons about getting rid of addictions and unnecessary and useless baggage. He asks, who says you can't? His message is, do something you've never done before. Revitalize your spirit. Now, you are watching Boomer TV. This is Andy over here in the studio. Join us over at bloomerboomer.com and be part of this amazing community. And now, here's Gene.
Hi, Bloomer Boomers. Bloomer Boomers. Bloomer Boomers, Bloomer Boomers, Bloomer Boomers. See, it's not that hard. Thanks, Andy. I'm really happy to be here today. My name is Gene Pietragallo. I'm your host here for the next half hour or so, and it's Friday afternoon, and here our show is called Gene Comes Clean, My Life of Excess. Kind of explains a lot of it. What I'm here to talk to you about every week and actually coming up soon, even twice a week, but I'm here to talk to you about change in your life, accepting what your life was, knowing that you can always make it better. I'm here to hopefully motivate you. I'm here to say nothing you haven't heard before. How's that? Nothing you haven't heard before, because we've all heard everything. Everybody just says it in a different way. So maybe I can explain through my story, through what I've been through what changes I've seen happen in my life because I consciously sought change. And maybe the way I say them touches you the way some other stuff hasn't. Because I can tell you that anything I can talk to you about is not a piece of fiction. It's what's happened in my life, and what's happened in my life was not exactly what I expected it to be. But now I'm in a place where I feel like everything happens for a reason, and I guess the reason was for me to be ready to attack life with all of my as best as I can be, with all of my sensibilities in check, and go after life with a vigor and an energy and everything else and spirit and drive that I thought I could never get back. But I feel more energized and more invigorated and more driven than I ever have before. And whether it's in a casual relationship or pursuing my dreams and my dreams or goals in my said profession, I'm here to tell you that there's a lot more to life than being retired, sitting on the couch, or wondering when you're going to make that change. And that's when you have to understand why it's specific to the boomer, because the clock is ticking in a way. I mean, you got to make some decisions. I wish I would have elicited change in my life when I first knew that there were some warning signs, and I would be sitting here, I guess, a completely different man, but that wasn't the case. So I can't cry over that. I've spent a lot of time doing that. I realized I had to throw that out. And but we are all getting older. So that's also part of my my pitch. Part of my enthusiasm and zest for life is it's never too late, and it's never too late to restart your life. Why am I here? Why am I here? Well, just like you, I mean, I'm a 61-year-old boomer. So just like you, I'm a boomer, but like a lot of people, I had parents in their generation, and coming from, the America's greatest generation, and they gave me something better than what they had. They gave me an amazing education. They gave me every opportunity to shine, worked hard for it, wanted to give their children more than they had, and their parents wanted to give them more than they had. And I came from a really strong, tightly knit Italian family with cousins who were like brothers and sisters, and it it was a wonderful life. It was a wonderful life. I don't have any stories of horror stories of going to in my case Catholic schools. I went to a Catholic grade school, Christian Brothers High School, and Loyola Jesuits for college, and the university at Loyola. I went to Loyola after some time at Carnegie Mellon, and I don't have anything adverse to say about the Catholic religion. I don't think I'm an ardent Catholic or a regularly practicing one, but a lot of the principles that I learned from growing up Catholic, they're still with me. And I hope that I took the best of what that religion has to offer. Not to go off track, but my my beliefs now are just a little wider. That's all. They're a little wider, maybe a little more well read and all that. But we're always, remember our principles and things that we were taught when we were young. Stick with us. Um, so I had all that. Loved my mom and dad. Loved my little sister. Loved all my family. Um, and then I got success young too. I got out of school. I wanted to become an actor, and I wanted to become an actor in a way and with a vengeance that I thought, really, I didn't think, I believed that I could be successful. And I was the high school guy in the plays that did well in those, but it was something I never aspired to do. But anyway, I did all that, but I wanted to be an actor, and I had the opportunity to go to one of the best drama schools in the country or in the world, and then um, pursued my dreams and was invited out to California and was on I was the Corporal Fisher in the bed in the next to last episode of MASH, the very one before the finale that everybody saw. But I was the guy there laying with them. I was on a soap opera and was that guy that was saved people from burning buildings and was a boxer. And uh, when he was blind, he even couldn't keep up with the women that were after him. It was all very much make believe to this guy from Pittsburgh. But I got to play and do things on a professional level that I set out to do. And everything was really right on track except for me, except that I had a problem that I never knew I had, and that's where we get to come clean in my life of excess. So my life of excess, remember, I've said excess could be different than yours, because my life of excess, I'll tell you, was really excessive, and it caused a lot of people harm. It caused a lot of people sorrow, pain, disappointment, and at times left me hopeless. Yeah, I drank, but I drank like everybody else. I drank in high school. It was a rite of passage. It was some of it was hilarious. It was this, it was that, it was everything that was supposed to be. Well, the first time I drank, granted, I drank some grain alcohol punch and blacked out. But that's no warning to the kid, Catholic kid from Pittsburgh at some little party where, that's what you're supposed to do, right? Little Gene got in a thing last night, or whatever. I mean, everybody drank. So in my 20s, there were some warning signs. There was a DUI. There was an order even back then that you had to go to, these the court ordered 12-step classes. And I went there, and I thought it was a world that I didn't belong in. I thought they were people that just chug coffee and chain smoked, and that I didn't have a problem like that. Well, I was still young. I think, like a lot of people, it's really hard to come to the conclusion that you have a problem with alcohol, of all things, when you're young. It doesn't hurt as much. Your restorative, your revitalization powers are at their height. it doesn't hurt so bad to stay up all night. Anyway, by the time I was 30, I was kind of an uncontrollable alcoholic. I couldn't stop drinking if I drank. And at that point of our time here in America, there was a lot of other things around, a lot of other drugs and substances to take. And if I drank too much, I would do that too. So now I'm up all night, and there was only one thing to put you to sleep, at least for me, when that was drink more booze. So I managed that. Guess what? I managed to do some more work. I managed to get a job on a few other films, and I was a series regular in my early 30s on Hill Street Blues, and once again, man, could jump back pretty quick, I could clean up, I could put on a police outfit, and I thought I was hot shit. So what would I do? Of course, celebrate. Well, the world is, this is amazing. I mean, I'm on the road to, wow, I'm huge. Yeah. So, and I would celebrate anything, and I would celebrate if I really did well before I got a job. I would celebrate when I had a job. I would celebrate when I finished shooting the job. I would celebrate everything. Because we were young and we were celebrating. So I was different than everybody, a little bit different that I noticed from my other friends, is that I never wanted to stop, and I would never want to or be ready to go to bed. Alcohol made me speedy, and it made me very on edge. Long story short is, by the time I was in my 40s, approaching 50 years old, there's no reason for me to pull out different episodes of my life, because drinking was involved more and more all the time. Other than, once a year, my cousin Bert and I would always do a cleansing in the month of January, because, the holidays. Just want to lay off a little bit. So I would try to avoid the 7 B's, I believe we did: booze, buds, blow, beer, beans was coffee, but there were 7 of them. And at first, once again, when I was younger, great, but in our 40s, it was just a really bad attempt on my part, and didn't last long. I didn't know that it didn't last long, because my body and now my brain were starting to get addicted to alcohol. Whether or not I was predestined to be an alcoholic because of anything family-wise, which is a whole other subject, that I inherited it, or it was in my genes or my bloodline, I can guarantee you I was drinking enough that my body was saturated with alcohol so much. And you can drink yourself into becoming an alcoholic. So, and I promise that anything I tell you, and I'll tell you that again, I'm not an expert on anything like this, but anything I'll say, I'm not making up. And I was definitely read it somewhere that's legitimate, or I was told by somebody that I trust their opinion. So, as I said, it was out of control, but I still could function. And then, I decided that that acting world wasn't much for me. First of all, you needed to look sharp and be ready to perform. And I would already started packing on pounds from the alcohol. I lost my marriage. Whether that was good or bad, I didn't lose it. Not the most perfect marriage in the world at all by any means, but I didn't lose it by any choice of my own. I lost it because I was, at that point now I was drunk, and, really couldn't pay attention. I hit 50 and it got really bad. I quit drinking at 55. At 50, like I said, the wheels just started coming off all the time. And you hear people say that wasn't their They didn't get low enough. They didn't hit their bottom. They didn't do this. They didn't do that. Well, not to bore you with it, but I mean, I bumped along and clunked my head so many times that many of those times, those around me, even me, was convinced that was my bottom, and it wasn't. It kept getting worse. It moved into getting blacking out. It moved into um, isolation. It moved into being able to literally, down a bottle of vodka, in a few minutes. Definitely 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And when I talk to you guys like this, I'm not saying that for a fact or anything else. And I think that when I'm doing this kind of show, which I'll tell you later, I'm excited because next week we're going to do a show, and for the first time we're going to have a guest. And I don't want to say anything yet, but I just hope you'll join us next week, and we'll have a very special guest that can hopefully inspire you with their story as well. And we're going to start doing that on a regular basis. So today you're stuck with me. And so what I'm saying is, when I tell you this and I hear myself telling this, it still blows me away. It still feels surreal what happened, you know. Um, at one point I woke up on the floor in the house that I lost, that everything was gone except some old bedspreads and everything. I had to spend the night in a spot. I didn't know where anybody was. Addiction and addiction out of control is honestly worse than a movie. It's not like a movie. They haven't made a movie. They haven't made a movie that real, because if they did make a movie that real, you would think it was uh, completely out of line. You'd think it was the Wolf of Wall Street. And this is so over the top that stuff like that doesn't happen. It does. It does. And remember, I went to Catholic school. We did the Stations of the Cross during Easter, and went to midnight mass, and had a really good education. I definitely was smart enough not to do this. Definitely smart enough not to do it. But it got to the point and that's what addiction does to anyone. I believe that anyone, whether it's a food addiction, a heroin addiction, a pill addiction, opioid addiction. I'm going to say food because food is a huge addiction to people. It's also a huge addiction to people who stop drinking because alcohol is sugar, and you want to reach for something that reminds you of booze, I guess. So anyway, I spiraled into a place where I actually had nowhere to live, staying in a hotel room. I had to have been broke, right? I was, but somehow I could still manage to get those 2/5 of vodka a day, and that's a lot of booze. And the whole point of drinking that was for me to turn my back completely on the most incredible life and where I live in the desert of California, out in Palm Springs, and it's gorgeous. But my sole purpose every day was, how quickly can I put out that light? How quickly can I put out that light? Because I don't want any piece of this world. I just want to go away. I guess I was too afraid to take my life, so I just did it slowly with alcohol. Anyway, we'll brighten up the story. After destroying everything, including some wonderful business relationships. Along the way, I had my own, production facility, and at one point I had 4 live to tape television shows going. So there was money there and all that. So I tell you that why? You might to brag? No, I'm telling you that I was such an ass that I couldn't even uh, control my addiction, right? I mean, get it together. What's wrong with you? Everybody would say that to me, And so what I'm letting you know is that maybe y'all know somebody like me, that was successful, and their addiction took them down lower than you ever thought they would be. And so low that, when that person was around you or people that you used to be around them, it was uncomfortable to be around them. And that person knew it was uncomfortable for you to be around them because everybody was uncomfortable on as to how you turned out. And I was that guy. Nobody wanted to be around me. It was a sin. It was a crying shame. I wasn't even offensive at the end. I couldn't even just stand up, you know. I was like I said, worse than any movie you've seen. Real life is worse. We always strive in the movies to make it as realistic as possible, and we come real close a lot of times. But um, it can remind us of situations, but I don't think it ever can really replace the true, stunning reality of despair. So that's pretty bad. Okay, so let's pull us all out of the despair department for the rest of the show now. I learned to do what I never, ever did before. I always had it. I got it, even at my worst. I was embarrassed to ask for help. I wouldn't. I would. I literally have friends now that I'm even reconnecting with after being sober for the last 5 years, and they'd still say, I thought you died. I thought you were dead." They didn't know what happened to me because I wouldn't talk to them. I was embarrassed. Had enough sense or enough. I still had, think about it. Had what? Pride, ego. Um, I was 100 pounds more than I weigh now, and I still didn't want anybody to know how bad it was because how could they possibly know? They knew. It was a big blinking neon sign when you were around me. Anyway, I asked for help. Beating around the bush, but it's really that simple. I asked for help, and I never did that before. And people helped me, and before I knew it, I ended up in a sober living place, and I happened to be one of those guys. Knock wood, you know, I'm still sober, and I know everybody doesn't make it, but I wanted to make it, and I didn't want to let those people down, and I wanted to be able to show people I could turn it around, and I guess maybe, um, I definitely didn't want my children to know that or to think that their dad didn't care, or that he was that sloth, drunk guy, the guy that my son stood over his gurney a couple times when I was in the hospital with alcohol poisoning, and he's looking down at me. It's a good father-son moment, huh? So I didn't want to live with that forever. I can't erase those memories, but every day since I've turned my life around is another day. I decided to be quiet too. Like I said, when we talk like this and it's just us, I kind of think stream of consciously. So aside from asking for help, I also decided to shut up because no one believed I would do anything I said. I had already, just been guilty of gross negligence in every area of my life. Anyway, after where I am right now is that I lost that 100 pounds. It bugs me, but it borders right around, in the 90s. It's not quite over 100, and I I need to always want to keep it down there because losing 100 pounds sounds better than 90, I guess, to me, because I still want to sound good. Anyway, I got quiet and knew that the only person that could turn it around was me. Because believe me, everyone and their mother tried, including my mother, who is probably one of the main reasons that I'm still sitting here alive and sober. So, like the poem, which we can recite that later, but like the Dylan Thomas poem, rage, 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 rage against the dying of the light. Man, every day I was just racing to the light. All of a sudden, I turned my mind and body around. All of a sudden is a misstatement. It took a while, but I never wanted to give up. And slowly my spirit came back, and slowly didn't really crawl out of the hole. I don't know if that all the things that happened and changed because I just knew the change was necessary. Um, would just happen unexpectedly, and I go, wow, look at that new change, and look at this, and oh, I thought I could never laugh and have fun again, and everything came back. Fun came back. I can laugh. Um, so now I'm sitting here at 61 years old, and as I was telling the beautiful Linda, earlier, and some friends, yesterday I called a person that I really respect in my decisions, my no decisions, and the way I behave because of my addiction. You would think we'd never speak again. But after earnestly trying and trying to do this every day, I called him yesterday, and he called me back in like Raleigh, where he was doing something on the road in production, and was right there for me, and already called me today, and people will forgive you. So what does this have to do with all you guys? And what it has to do with is I think all of us live with maybe some failure, some feelings of not achieving what we needed to do, and some feelings of, hey man, I'm getting older, it's too late. Well, you know what? It's not too late. It's way not too late. And after I just told you this doom and gloom story, I promise you, I mean this from the bottom of my heart, from the bottom of my heart. If you said you could go back and would you like to go back and be a young man again? No, this was the way it was supposed to be for me. I'm an alcoholic. Okay, big deal. There's a lot of them, you know, and I'm smiling because I'm one of them, and it's not a death sentence, and neither is anything else. Neither is anything else. Like we say, man, just get off the couch. Uh, you know, you got to be able to pick yourself up. And now, where are we? It's 2020. We're stuck inside. It's easy to overdrink. It's easy to over medicate. It's easy to do anything, and you can have anything delivered to your house. And I'm sorry, if you'd like to smoke some pot, at least in California, I could probably get a drone to drop some over here, and it could be here in 7 minutes. But realistically, there's probably a store or a bud shop within a mile. I don't know. You can get weed anywhere. You can get booze anywhere. Um, I'm sure and I've heard you can get all kinds of drugs anywhere. And but I do know that the booze and the weed, marijuana, because weed dates me. I don't know what it is, but is available everywhere. And I know that it's increased. And I know that when I talk to my group of drunks, people that I've learned to get sober with. I get sober in a 12-step program. There's plenty of other ways you can grit it out. Uh, you can do it all by yourself. Not advisable and also not very successful, but the best and only way to do it, no matter how you choose to do it, is uh, you got to do it with other people, and you got to come clean, and you got to be able to be honest. You know, I'm not going to spend the rest of my life searching for the answers of why. Um, in particular, this disease picked me up. And if you asked me and saw what I've been around and what I was raised around, and probably also as a hypocrite, that the people that I've looked at over the years as this crept up on me, that I was like, oh my God, look at that guy's a drunk. That guy drinks. Look at the way they drink. They're out of control. They turned out worse. So uh, now I get to talk to you guys here on Boomer TV, and the Bloomer Boomers, and I get to go after my life again with vigor. My children talk to me again. They do. Um, a beautiful conversation with my daughter yesterday, and I'll see her soon. And she spins fire, and I am learning how to spin fire as well. These are rubber training balls to spin fire. So believe me, I was like on my ass, and now here I am, and I feel like a kid. My daughter wants me to learn how to spin fire for Thanksgiving. My son lives a block away, and just enjoy the heck out of him. And my mom's 85, going to be 86 on New Year's Eve this year, and she had to run away from me at the height of my addiction, and she now happily lives with me out here in California. Turned a lot of things around, right? Um, my business is embracing me. Someone sent me a script today. When the phone rang, it was someone else that wants me to produce a movie and do things. So you can turn your life around, it, even in the smallest way. If you're feeling like shit, get up and take a walk. I got my mom has had two knee replacements, full knee replacements, and a hip, and she picks the thing and she walks and she does her stuff. And I saw her um, breeze through kind of with an amazing spirit and get better. So we can all get better, but it takes effort. And the only one that's going to instill that effort is you. And you got to be willing. You got to be willing, man. And we're going to live longer. We can't do anything about what's on the news, so turn that shit off. Really, do yourself a favor. Vote and do all the stuff we know we need to do, but you know, we can't change anything, but we can only change ourselves. So I hope to bring you some really good interviews. I hope to bring you some people that have either been affected uh, by people with addiction, like me, or have suffered from it themselves, and tell you their success stories, uh, and the horror stories that led to maybe their turnaround or success stories. And along the way, a lot of people that have made it have horror stories about their friends that haven't, that haunt us. Um, as I like Dylan Thomas said in our poem, it says, do not go gentle into that good night. Old age should burn and rage. At the end of the day, rage against the dying of the light. So everybody out there, you guys, this weekend, rage against the dying of the light, man. No one says we can't do anything we want, no matter how old we are now. My buddy just had his mother's 94th birthday. A gentleman that worked with me and a radio station I was involved in years ago, 94 years old. And he's still doing and writing a column every day. And he and I just became friends on Facebook, and he's vibrant. Um, I want to be vibrant. And maybe like some of you out there, you know, I got a little lost time to make up for. And I'm going to do it as best I can. So I don't know, Andy, if you're out there and
Yep, I'm here, Gene. Do you
sometimes
have
Andy.
a couple
Yes.
of minutes
Yeah.
to for a couple of frequently asked questions?
Sure, Andy. I'd love some questions.
And if you,
Thank you.
by the way, if you want to get hold of Gene here, you can send it to gene@bloomerboomer.com. Anyway, this comes from Stan, and he worries his grandson needs help with a drinking problem. He's wondering who he should turn to.
Oh, well, I mean, maybe he has a friend that has had something similar happen to them with one of their kids or their grandsons, or find out maybe he has a friend. Nowadays, everybody's got someone that's gone through it. Find somebody that has openly gone through it and had the courage to admit it and go after and try to help someone with an addiction problem. Try to find someone to talk to.
All right, and let's see. There's one. I got a random question here. This is from Martha, and she who asks, "Is being an alcoholic the same as being a drug addict?"
Sure. Yeah. 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 I mean, alcohol is a chemical, and it's a drug, and it's ethanol, and it's just ridiculous that we put it in our bodies. And I'm not telling you that as a reformed drinker. If I'm reformed, I'm just doing my thing. I got nothing handled, but I will tell you that alcohol is as bad, or if not worse, than smoking. And look what we think about smoking. So, I know that everybody wouldn't be a fan of hearing me say that, but it's the same thing. It's the same thing. It grabs you. It takes control of you. You think of drug addicts that they'll break into somewhere and steal their drugs. Well, at the worst grip of alcohol with me, if I needed to break the glass or do something to get alcohol, I'd get it, no matter what. So it's the same thing.
Oh, and let's see. You talked a little bit about the next show. Do you want to just give a preview on that one?
Yeah, of course. Well, if I get my wishes, my druthers, I'm gonna have a gentleman on that I really shared my disease with, and it caused him a lot of pain and consternation, and he stuck with me. But he could talk to you firsthand about what alcohol and drugs and the whole thing do, and how many people that he's run into that are working regular jobs or even executive level jobs that have a big secret. And I don't mean that to be funny. We need to we need to ask for help when we know something's consumed us like this. But Andy, just one more time, because one more second, if I don't.
Oh, right. My day would not be complete
If
without.
I don't bring Boomer on at the end of the show, he gets really mad.
Oh man!
And then you don't want Boomer to get grumpy.
Look at Boomer.
He takes a little nap when I do the show.
Oh,
Anyway,
you're one confident guy. If you know how pets what pets do to us, they kind of everybody's attention goes back to them. But
he's a welcome addition to our family, and I can actually take care of him.
Yeah.
So I want everyone to have an awesome weekend. Andy, you have a great weekend. I can't thank you enough for having me on bloomerboomer.com and Boomer TV, because I really enjoyed being here.
Fantastic, Gene. You too. You have a great weekend. Thanks so much.
All right, go Steelers. Take care.
And
Bye-bye.
thank you for watching Gene Comes Clean, My Life of Excess. Join each week at bloomerboomer.com and be part of this amazing community of folks over